In this video, we'll be talking about how the Britishers came to India. It all started with a small trading company called the East India Company. The East India Company was awarded a royal charter by Queen Elizabeth I, who was the ruler of England in those times, in the year 1600. This royal charter made East India Company the only company which could trade with India, so it rendered it a monopoly. When the English East India Company set sail for India, it found that it wasn't alone. The Portuguese had already come to India. Vasco da Gama from Portugal had actually established a sea route from Lisbon to India in the year 1498. He started the journey in 1497 and completed it by 1498. So the Portuguese already were aware of the sea route, and they established their first posts in India in the year 1510 in Goa, Daman and Diu, and in Bombay. The Dutch and French also followed. So the British East India Company had to face competition with the Portuguese, Dutch and the French. These companies were essentially called the mercantile. What's a mercantile is that a mercantile is a business enterprise which buys at cheap prices and sells at higher prices, and it tries to survive in the market by eliminating all the competition. India was the perfect destination for these mercantiles because of the cheap labor available in India, in which case the cost of production really goes low. So they were able to produce fine goods at cheap prices in India and were able to sell them at higher prices in their market, where there was a huge demand for such goods. India was very rich in cotton, silk and spices, which were the primary elements of trade in those times. All those European companies fought fierce battles among themselves. They sank each other's ships, they blockaded routes, they even built forts to safeguard themselves from each other's attacks. So later on, Aurangzeb also died. Aurangzeb was the last well-known powerful Mughal ruler, and he died in the year 1707, and a lot of regional kingdoms started coming up. So the British now had to not only face competition from the European market competitors, but also had to face from local rulers. They were unable to separate trade from politics. So politics came into the picture after that. In our next video, we'll be talking about how the East India Company established its rule in India. This video was brought to you by Unacademy in association with Gyan Central.